Hello.
Hey Rena, how you doing?
Good.
How you
How,
feeling? What's going on?
how are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Hey
Jeffrey,
Ruba.
can I ask you about evening meeting? Can I meet with you on
Yeah,
evening?
absolutely.
Because I have, yes, questions.
Yeah, perfect. Hold on one second while we're doing this. I'll
Mhm.
make a little note here and then I'll send you a message. So Thursday, my evening time's usually 6 to 7. Does that work for you? Is there another time tomorrow?
7 today, yes? At
Yeah,
7
today's
today.
Thursday. Tonight. Yeah, thank you. Yes, tonight. Let me send you a message here, an email.
And will you send me link to meet with you? Yes?
What I'm doing right now,
Okay.
so I
Okay.
don't forget.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm just going into my Canvas inbox here. Irina. Thursday, 10/8, 7 p.m.
Mhm.
Great. So I just sent you this email. Hopefully you should get it in a minute or two.
Mhm.
And yep, in the email is just a link, so you can click that link. Click that link to join. And now I'm just putting this on my calendar so I remember. Irina, 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I see. Mhm. I sent. Well, I received.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Of course. How are you, Ruba?
Fine. Can I say something about paraphrasing?
Please.
Okay. I saw Emma's video from ingvid.com.
Okay.
It's englishvideos.com. So they call it ingvid.com. She said, in paraphrasing, we use synonyms. Just like, for example, we have education, we can use schooling or learning instead of education.
Right.
The second tip is the sentence structure.
Yes.
We have verb, noun, adjective. So educate is the verb, education, noun, educational is adjective. We can, if the sentence has educate, we can change another sentence. We use in it education or educational,
right,
instead of educate. And the third one is using concession.
Okay.
She said you have the prompt and you give the opposite opinion to the prompt and then go back to the prompt. So it's kind of not repeating the same sentence.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Interesting. So, and did you enjoyed the video, or it was useful
Yes.
for you? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
When I paraphrase one paragraph from this book, I don't know how long it will be.
I mean, usually, so we'll see what people want to talk about today. If we want to talk about paraphrasing more, or if we want to keep talking about the narratives. But I think that the general rule or the idea is that your paraphrase is kind of about the same length, right? Like if it's a little bit shorter, that's okay. But you don't want it to be longer, right? You definitely don't want it to be too long. So the sort of general rule is about the same length. What did Emma's video say? The same thing, or did she talk about
No,
that?
she didn't say about this one.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, if you're paraphrasing a specific, like in the invention activity, I asked you to paraphrase one of the narratives, right, or a moment from one of the stories.
Mm.
I think in last week's class I mentioned, you know, at the end of a map is only one story. She tells that story about she gets lost and her dad comes to find her. So if you paraphrase that story, I think in the book it's maybe 2 pages. You know, maybe that you do that in one paragraph because you're kind of summarizing and paraphrasing, right? So it really just depends, Ruba, on sort of what you're writing. But again, the one rule I'd say is usually not longer. If you're paraphrasing a page, probably don't want your paraphrase to be 2 pages. It's kind of, otherwise you're kind of just making up your own stuff at that point, you know. Good. We've got Mohammed's here. And
Hi.
hey, Nasser. And Olga's here. And Hangama and Zamida. Good to see you guys. And Ting, good to see you.
Thank you.
Every day. How you guys doing?
So.
So.
Thank you.
I have a headache today.
You have a headache? A migraine. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, turn the volume down and take care of yourself and don't stare at the computer screen.
I took the flu shot 2 days ago. I don't know if that may give me a little effect.
It depends. Yeah, it depends.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Well, usually I have migraines.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my mom had migraines too.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, please, Nasser.
Hello, everyone. My question is about what's mean of 12 p.m. 12 p.m. is mid of day or mid of night?
Oh, 12 p.m. 12 p.m. is day. 12 a.m. is night.
Oh, yeah.
Why did you put this time, 12 p.m.?
In a perfect world, I wanted you to do this before we talked today, so that you went through the activity, you were ready, you'd thought about it, and you had some idea of what you might write about before class today.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of teachers just put the due date at midnight, so I don't know. I think now students are used to that. Students think anytime there's something due in Canvas, it's 11:59 p.m. Yeah, again. What? I don't care that much about the time, right? I mean, like, again, you can tell I don't have a lot of due dates, but to Irina's question, right? Why? It's because I wanted you to do this activity before you came to class so that you thought about what am I going to write about? That's the intention. That's the intention.
Sorry.
Please.
My teacher in the last semester,
yes,
due of assignment right 11:59.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of, I don't know if that's just ESL, but that's kind of what students are used to now in Canvas, right? Like, oh, if it's due on this day, that means I have until 11:59. It's why, again, I don't have a lot of due dates in this class, you guys. I hate it. It's not learning. It's not teaching. I don't care. Like, I think if we have all these due dates and specific times, then that's what students are worried about instead of the work. So if you did your invention activity already, great. If you did not, do it as soon as possible, because I'm going to tell you what we're doing there, but if you haven't done it yet, I don't want you to stress too much. Try not to.
I do it yesterday at 6:30. It shows late.
Oh, weird. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Again, and then that's the other thing, right? In Canvas, it's for me to worry about. Don't worry about it. But you know, if you submit it in 1 week, okay, then you're a little bit behind where I want, because so maybe I'll just get started. So let me start to share my screen. This is the only thing I really don't like about online stuff, you guys, is now all of you guys are just thinking due dates and times and all that stuff. But that's what we got. It's all good. So here's what we're doing today. We'll do our check-in, a Q&A. Q&A stands for question and answer. My intention for today, again, is after I introduce the idea of the narrative essay, and you had a week to read as much as you could and to go through the invention activity, it's really to just see how you feel about the understanding this type of writing. How do you feel about getting ready to start to write your own essays? But I will say, I'm going to go to the last page here. So I'm going to grade the invention activity. So for people saying due dates and times and all that stuff, again, the other reason that I want them now is I'm going to be grading them tonight and tomorrow, because this activity, again, is a way for you to start to think about what you will write, and also a way for me to give you some advice, right? Like, so if you say, I think I might write about this story, oh, I think I might write about this theme, well, then I get to look at what you write and say, this looks good, this looks maybe here's a different idea, a different suggestion. So that's another reason that if you have not done the invention activity yet, the sooner the better, because I have my lab is over at 5 o'clock, then I'll be grading. And then I have office hours at 6, and then I'll probably keep grading. So that's what I want to say about the invention activity. I started to look at a few of them, like I know Ruba was writing about how to stop apologizing or how to stop saying sorry. So I know that some of you were great. It seems like some of you, this was great. You understood and it made sense. But that's all I really wanted to say about the invention activity at the beginning of class. Anybody have questions about the invention activity or anything before we let it go and move on?
I have one note, but I sent an email to you about this story.
Yeah.
I made a little small story just like this one. So I put some photos, but I couldn't put it in the box of writing.
Canvas, yeah.
On Canvas.
Good.
I didn't see an icon for insert image.
Got it. Okay. I love that, Ruba. I love that. This is the story I wanted to talk about today, if we get to look at more narratives. So I'm glad that you brought it up. Yeah, I'm not sure about Canvas and images. I can look at that. I'm not sure.
So I sent the answer in an email.
Okay, perfect. I'll look at that. Cool. Anybody else questions about the invention activity before we move on and get started for today? Let's go. Okay, so like I said, I want to do our quick check-in, and then I really want to just keep talking about this book. I want to keep talking about linguistic narratives. I want to answer any questions that you have. I want to see just how we're feeling and what's going on. And that's it. So today is not really going to be a bunch of new stuff. Like last week, I got to introduce some new stuff. Today, we're going to keep practicing with some of these ideas. So just like usual, we're going to start with small groups so that you can talk to another human being. So here's my suggestions, the questions that I encourage you to talk to. But of course, if you want to talk about anything else, you can do that. So here are the questions. Which example narratives did you read or listen to? What did you notice about the connection between the theme, the narrative, and descriptive writing? And how are you feeling about writing your own narrative, right? So, and again, if you want to talk about any other questions with each other, that is great, but these are my suggestions for you. And again, it would be really helpful, I think, for me, for all of us, if after you talk to your group and you're like, oh my God, this doesn't make sense, I don't know what I'm gonna do, let's talk about it, because that's what we're gonna do today, really, is help answer some of those questions for what's still not clear, okay? Makes sense what I want you to talk about in your groups. You guys look sleepy today. I can see the faces. You guys look sleepy. I don't know what's going on, but.
Professor, I have a question.
Tell me, Ting.
Yeah, the theme should be only one object, or I can have several?
Ask your group, and then I'll answer that when we're all back together. I love that question, Ting. Talk to your group about that, and I'll tell you what I think. Cool. Anybody else? Awesome. Okay, well, if we're tired, that's fine. Go slow, low energy with your group. It's all good. I was telling the other groups yesterday, I can't think about anything other than the fact that the president has COVID. That's insane. And like, I just can't stop thinking about that. So that's where my head's at. So anyway, we'll just do our best. Life is insane and we'll just do our best. Okay, so I'll put you in your groups. Let's do 4 people in case people are feeling shy and quiet. All right, rooms are gonna open now. I'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Professor, can I skip the activity? I don't feel very good.
Please go ahead.
Thank
Just
you.
stay muted, hang out, and then they'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Thank you.
right, coming back. Room 3 is still talking. How are you guys? Are you tired? What's going on? It's hard to know when I only see you through the screen. Am I wrong? Or is it a little sleepy today?
No, we are thinking about the narrative linguistic because it is new for us. I talk with my group. They have difficult, maybe they have a little worry about the linguistic narrative, and they are quiet today.
I see. Fear. So we're not tired, we're afraid. Okay, that's fine. Okay, well, I'm glad we can talk about it. Okay, so Sapide was just saying, I was sort of asking while everyone was coming back, what's going on? How are we doing? Are we tired? It's hard for me to know since we're not in the same room. And Sapide said, maybe we're nervous about the essay, this type of narrative writing. Let's talk. Like I said, my plan for today is to talk about what's going on, how you're feeling, what questions you still have. And then I do want to look at one of our examples from the book and sort of keep practicing, right? So that you can see how this type of writing happens, right? What it looks like and how you can do it on your own. So I'm thinking now about Ting's question, where she was saying one theme, more than one theme. Did you talk about that with your group, Ting?
Yes, because my narrative is undocumented lovers in America.
Okay.
Yeah, and the theme, I think, because you asked us, there's only one theme, so I make it like secret illegal identity.
Okay.
But I also think there are more than one themes in this story,
Right.
like cheating, distrustful of people,
Yep.
betray, hiding.
Good.
So I was confused if I should make it more than one theme.
Good. I love it. I mean, so I'm gonna sort of just start to take down some notes here while I listen to your guys' questions and sort of what you are thinking right now about this assignment. So in terms of the linguistic narrative, right? How many themes in a narrative? And the real answer is this depends, right? If you think of whether it's undocumented, so the example that you talked about, Ting, or even our story from last week, a map is only one story, right? I think we definitely said in an essay like that, that's 5, 6, 7 pages in a textbook or in a book, you're probably going to see more than one theme, right? Big, important ideas that are really, again, like the center of the heart of the story. So the short answer is there may be two, let's say 2 or 3 or 4 main themes, but so in terms of the invention activity, Ting, if you're writing about the example essay from this book, you're right. Maybe there's more than one theme, and so what you answer for that question, I'll look at your response. But for the essay, what I'm sort of encouraging you to do when you look at the sort of possible themes here, just choose one and focus on that, right? Because it's 1,000 words. So it's really about 2 pages, right? A little over 2 pages. So you're really telling one story, 1,000 words. So I want it to be really clear and focused. So for yourself, I don't want you to feel like you need to talk about 3 or 4 or 5 different themes. For your own writing, try to choose one theme and a story that is very clearly connected to that theme. But of course, in the example from last week, and again, in the example that we'll look at today, you might see more in longer essays or in longer writing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
And I love your analysis, Ting. And again, I'll like when I start grading the invention activities, I'll give you more comments on your analysis of these essays. But I think what you said about the undocumented lover story is great. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Now, Sam, did I see your hand?
Yes, I have a question.
Please.
My question is about theme.
Good.
Is it a theme same as main idea if if each paragraph in essay?
Good. I think the short answer is yes, right?
Yeah.
Is theme the same as main idea or thesis? That's another question students ask. And the short answer is yes, right? Because if you think about whatever in another class where you studied or looked at thesis statements, the idea here is your thesis statement is the boss, right? In a 5-paragraph essay, your thesis statement is the most important thing, and every other paragraph, every topic sentence goes back to that idea. And this is the same, right? The theme is the thing that gives your story meaning, right? The theme, which you again introduce at the beginning, like a thesis, right? But the difference is a thesis is just one sentence, right? If you think about a map is only one story from last week, that the turtle story is like 2 pages, right? The turtle story is 2 pages, and it kind of ends, you know, with that example where she's saying, where are you from? Where are you from? So that's the only thing I want to be clear about here. A theme is the main idea. It is the thesis, but it's not just one sentence at the end of one paragraph, Nasser. That's the difference. That's the difference. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, good. And this is, I think, the most difficult new type of thing for us to talk about. So I'm glad we're talking about theme. What else? Any other questions that you talked about in your group? Any other questions about theme? What else is on your mind? Liz, go ahead. Liz and then Ruba.
We talked about sad.
Okay, Ruba and then
Exactly. Yeah, we were just wondering, like, almost all this, well, all the stories are kind of sad.
okay. I love it. So say more about that. So what's your question? Do I have to write something sad?
Yeah. Can we just like combine it like with some kind of fun stuff all together? Or what's the reason of writing sad stories? Is it because it's more emotional, or?
Wow, great question. That's a bigger question. So let's talk about that here just in general. Well, I'll take down notes. What do you guys think? Sad stories. Why are all these stories sad? Are they all sad? That's a great question. What do you guys think? Or what did you talk about in your, yeah, please, Irina, you want to go for it?
My story that I read is not sad.
What'd you read?
I feel warmness.
Warmth?
Warmth, yes. Sorry. Yes, and my feelings were different, like sadness.
Interesting. What story did you read, Irina?
1 second. My grandmother's, I don't know how say it correctly, patois, and other case to survive. Patois, yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, that interesting. Cool. Okay, so Irina was saying maybe she read a story that didn't feel as sad or had a different feeling. Good. What else did other people think? Is this sad? Too sad? Why are these stories sad? Do you have to write a sad essay? What do you guys think?
In my opinion, people memorize more sad stories than happy. I don't know why, because it's like it may be human brain, I don't know.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting, Irina. I took when I started to look at psychology and sort of different human emotions, I remember one teacher said that basically human beings have 4 big emotions, right? Mad, sad, scared, glad. And she was like, 3 out of the 4 are bad, you know, bad emotions. And the idea from evolution, the idea from an evolution standpoint is those are the feelings. They don't feel good, but they keep you alive. They keep you alive. If you're too happy, then you don't do stuff, you don't survive. But again, that's a different story. Cool. Anybody else want to talk about this? And then I'll answer Liz and Ruba's question, what I think about this. Anybody else have ideas about sad stories or this book and the sad stories? I think you are all tired today. It's very quiet. That's okay. And remember, you can always type things in the chat. I'll say this, so to answer Liz's question. No, you can write whatever you want, right? Like, I want to be very clear here. I'm going to duplicate this slide and make a new one. So remember, this really is everything. This is the most important thing. Like, if you do this, you're going to get at least a C for this paper, you guys. I want it to be very clear what the theme of your story is. And then even more important is that the narrative you choose to tell is very clearly connected to your theme. So if the theme you choose is good translation is possible, right? I think that was one that I saw some people saying they would choose when I was looking at the invention activity. Great. I mean, that doesn't have to be a sad story at all. You know, you could write a story about the first time that you read a translation you really loved, or you could write a story about a time that you made a really good translation for yourself, you know, or a friend or a family member, right? So the story you tell doesn't have to be sad, happy, anything. It just has to be clearly connected to the theme. That is like the number one big old thing. That's the big thing I want. That's the big thing I want. Does that make sense, Liz and Ruba?
Yes.
Yeah, and then I guess I'm thinking of Irina's ideas too. I mean, the philosophy or philosophically, you know, stories that are about immigration, why are they sad? You know, it's hard. I think that some of these stories are about really challenging things, but that doesn't mean you need to write some very sad or very personal story, right? Great. What other questions came up before we look at some more examples? Other questions you talked about, or ideas, concerns, what came up in your groups?
I have a question.
Please.
I want to ask about linguistic narrative. It is like 5 paragraphs or no, just it's like a story?
It's like a story. I mean, because this, so I'm going to look at this, we're going to look at this today that Ruba was holding out. Say It with Noodles. This is on page, if you have your book, I'll put it on the screen too. It starts on page 120. It starts on page 120 in your book. But yeah, I mean, you're going to see why I love this example of sort of a graphic novel, right? Kind of looks like a comic book. This is a linguistic narrative. This story is 100% a story about language, right? And it's not even an essay, right? It's using pictures and a few sentences. So whatever structure you use, it doesn't really matter, other than, like I talked about last week, like this matters, right? So like Nasser was asking, the theme isn't the same thing as a thesis. It's not one sentence at the end of the first paragraph. It's not like that, but your theme has to be clear at the beginning, right? Like I say on this slide, you need to introduce the theme in the beginning. And again, just like in A Map is Only One Story, she tells this story about the salmon. And then by the end, the reader, we understand, oh, okay, this was sort of a connected story. She was introducing this idea of home and going back home and all of those ideas, right? So instead of thinking about how many paragraphs or where to put your thesis, that's not as important. What is important is, do you have a clear theme? Do you introduce that theme at the beginning of your writing? And then is your story clearly connected to your theme? And I think the only way to do this, right, if you're still not sure, is, again, I'll say, Read as much of this as you can, you guys. The more examples you read, the more comfortable you will feel when you go to write, okay? Then the second thing is, the first draft for this is the first draft. I'll get to look at it and I'll send it back to you. So you will get at least one more chance, right, to revise your writing. So I'm saying that because I don't want you to think too hard or worry too much before you start writing. I think when you know your theme and the story you want to tell, just go for it, right? Just start writing, and then I can tell you what I see in terms of structure and how many paragraphs and all that stuff. Yes.
And if our story is too short, what should I do?
Too short, like word count, or it's just like paragraphs?
For example, I don't have like a big story, just I have a small story according my school or when I came here. It is not too long. It's a little shorter.
Just do your best, Apida, and then I'll see, and I'll give you, you know what I mean? Like if you have a story that you like and you want to tell and you know that it connects to your theme, write it and just see, right? And then maybe when I look at it, I can ask you some more, I can ask questions. Okay, what else happened? Or if you're missing information, or maybe it's not too short. Maybe you have plenty to say about the theme, or you after you explain the narrative, after you explain, again, remember the narrative's the story. Maybe after the story, you have another paragraph or 2 paragraphs about why this was important to you or how it affected you, right? So it just depends. It just depends on how you choose to explain, again, I'll keep saying it, how the story, why the story is connected to the theme. But I'll just keep saying it because that's the #1 thing for this assignment. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. What else?
So if I understand correctly, we don't need to follow the structure of essay. We just need like connect our theme to our story.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and remember, this kind of is the structure, right? The structure is a narrative essay has a theme, narrative writing, and descriptive writing. The most important thing for structure, Olga, is you introduce the theme at the beginning. When you tell the narrative, it's clear that what this means, why the story is important, and then at the end, you have a sort of summary or synthesis where you reconnect back to the theme, right? So that is the structure. It's not first paragraph, final sentence, thesis statement, second paragraph, topic sentence. It's not that type of structure, right? But there is some kind of structure in this type of story. Does that make sense?
Not really, but
not, then you need to keep reading the book, Olga, because there's a lot of examples in the book, right? If that doesn't make sense, then you need to look at more stories.
Yeah, but every story, like, it's for me, like every story is different, and
yes, I agree. So this is not a math formula, right? That's why it's hard for you guys. It's not a 5-paragraph essay. I can't, you know what I mean? Like there's not, it's like, I'll just say it's not a math formula, this one. But if you keep reading the essays, you'll see, right? Like the theme is introduced at the beginning, and then there's a story. And then after the story, the writer explains what it meant, right? So yeah. And we're going to look at that in this, we're going to look at this example in the noodles story where it's not even in paragraphs, right? But the structure, this structure that I'm talking about is there. It's the same structure that we're going to see in this, in the graphic novel, in the Say It With Noodles story. I think the other thing I'm noticing from people's questions is, it's time to start writing and for me to see what you write. Because if you're worried, if you feel like I can't start writing until I understand exactly 100% the structure, you're stuck and you're never going to start writing. If you've read 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or all of the essays in the book, then I think you probably have some idea of what this looks like. It's time to just start doing it and let me see it so I can tell you what I see. And remember, I'll just say it again, I grade it, give you feedback, and then you get to redo it. This is not the like, show me you get one chance and it better be perfect the first time. No, that's not how this goes. So what else? Other questions? Nasser, please.
Yes, sorry. Can I write a narrative writing with my or our inside I and we? For example, my country was by else.
Totally.
Or our country.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah. So first person, I could add this to the list here, Nasser. So we could say first person pronouns and first person possessives. That's my and our. Yeah. Absolutely, Nasser. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Great specific question. Anything else? Okay, let's look at an example together then. If people are still going, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Then again, I just think examples are the way to do it.
Write it anyway.
Yes, so I'm here again, like I said, on page 120. Say it with noodles. You can follow along in your book. I'm going to project it onto the screen for us. This time, instead of me just reading the whole thing, I'm going to sort of read maybe a page or two at a time and then pause, and then so that we can talk about it together in the big group. I think we should just go through it and talk about what we see. So remember, what I want us to start to think about is, and I've got the slide up here, theme, narrative, and description. And I promise you, even in this story that has pictures, we're going to get all three. We're going to get all three of this type of writing, okay? So I'm going to go through the first 2 pages. I'll just read the text and then we'll talk about it. So Say It with Noodles by Xingyin Kur. All right. At the temple where my grandmother's ashes rest, we offer her oranges for our good fortune, a cup of tea, and steamed buns because she liked them. The incense smells like jasmine. Her kitchen smelled like frying oil. Okay, so even on the first page, what do we got? Theme, description, narrative. What do we notice on the first page of this graphic essay? What do we notice?
Descriptive.
Good, tell me where.
A cup of tea and orange for good friend.
Great, I love it. A cup of tea, very specific. Orange is a specific fruit. Good, what else?
Maybe a theme.
Above tea.
Good, where's the theme?
Eat food.
Food.
Good, I love that food. I love that too. And in this, for even up here, I think food is exactly correct. Oranges, tea, steamed buns. Then we get these descriptive details. Smells like jasmine, incense. Kitchen smelled like frying oil. Very specific descriptions. This idea of food. And I think there's one, thinking about Ting's question, how many themes? So food, big deal here, absolutely. And in this first sentence up here, I think there's something else. Give me one other word. That's part of the theme.
Grandmother.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Right. So even on this first page, we've got maybe 1 or 2 sentences, right? But this idea of grandmother, food, and then all these descriptive details, right? All these descriptive details. Do we have a narrative yet? Do we have a story yet?
No.
Nope. I agree. Not yet. Okay. You guys still with me? Makes sense, makes sense. Okay, let's keep going. Actually, well, I'm gonna make sure I do this. So we were saying food, grandma. Description, we said oranges, tea. I said jasmine smell, frying oil smell. Right? Even on just 1 page, we've got some of that type of writing. So let's keep going.
How about ashes and rest?
Yeah, what do you think about ashes and what do you think about ashes? What do you think's going on there, Claudio? Description, or what do you think?
It's a description, no?
Could be, yeah, definitely could be. So this first example, she's sort of describing the temple. Again, I'm not sure. I think this we're going to see in other pages, but I think this essay is really beautiful because at the temple where my grandmother's ashes rest, we offer her. Now, she has a picture. So she doesn't have a lot of words describing the temple. We see this in the picture, right? We see 2 rows. We see here are the urns where the ashes are. Each urn has a little picture around it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. She doesn't write all of those descriptive words, but we sort of see that in the picture. So again, you're going to see how in an essay like this, where there are pictures, the pictures do some of the descriptive writing, right? So you could say maybe part of the description is the temple a little bit. And then some of those words that you were mentioning, Claudio, are kind of connected to, oh, how did she describe the temple? You know what I'm saying? Great. So let's keep going. Next page. Follow on your screen. Follow in your book. My grandmother and I didn't speak the same language. Not really. Not enough. I am not part of an emotionally demonstrative family. How could we be when my first language was their 4th language? But my grandmother cooked. Her kitchen was a wet kitchen. The floor was concrete and usually damp. Same thing. What do we got? What do you notice on this page?
This is a narrative.
Tell me what, and it's a very short narrative. What do we learn in this short narrative?
Because it says that my grandmother and don't speak the same language.
Right. I'm going to keep it my, so it's just I, first person in this chart as well, you guys. My grandma cooked. And I didn't speak the same language. Good. What else do we get? I heard someone talking about cooking. What else?
The next one is the connection with the theme. That is the both, but my grandmother cooked. So that connects to the theme, that's food.
I agree. And I think you're exactly correct, Mohammed. And there's one other word though. There's one other, give me one word, Mohammed. Food, grandma, and there's another word that I want to add. It starts with an L. Thank you. Thank you. You got some help, Mohammed. Yes. I think language is also a big theme. Like I was saying, this is a linguistic narrative essay. You guys, this is 100%. So again, I'm thinking of Ting's great question. This essay is 100% about food and 100% about language, right? Like, as we find out, if you've read this, you know, but when we finish, you'll also know. Great. How about give me some descriptive details on this page.
About her kitchen.
Yes, exactly. What about it?
Wet kitchen, floor was concrete and usually damp.
Excellent. Beautiful, beautiful.
Maybe about her part of the family.
Yeah, tell me, you want to give me a key word or example?
That she was not the part of her emotional and demonstrative family.
Good. Family equals not emotionally demonstrative. And again, as I said last week, some of these start to connect, right? Like, so whether that's a part of the narrative, a story about what her family was like, or whether that's a description of a specific person, they get, they can kind of go back and forth here. The narrative and the description are connected, right? I think I said this last week too. A good narrative has to have descriptive details. You guys, it really, really does. Otherwise, it's boring, right? Like what did I say last week, I think, right? I went to the grocery store. I got in my car. I drove to the store. I bought some groceries. I went home. That's a narrative, but it's boring and who cares? There's not a lot of descriptive detail. And the same way, remember, you could do descriptive writing. That's not a story. Like you could look at behind me, right? And I could write 1,000 words about, oh, there's a red book on the wall and the paint color is this, and then behind there, you could describe it, but that's not the same thing as a narrative, right? That's not telling a story. So again, I just want you to see how these things go together, right? They go together. They're different things, but in this type of writing, you kind of need both of them. Okay, so beautiful. Let's keep going. Mohammed and Irina got in this idea about language and food for the theme, which is going to be very important, and I love it. Great, so next page. My dad says that his family was quite poor, but I didn't know it. How would I have known? There was always so much food. Saya sayang, wa I lo. I have no memory of my grandmother telling me she loved me, but of course I knew. Love, love, love. Okay, what do we notice?
Well, the theme is love.
Good. Okay, maybe we can add one more word. Language, love, food, grandma. I totally agree. These are big, big themes. What else do we notice in terms of narrative or description?
Narrative.
Yes, I agree. Where?
Family.
The story about her family that it was poor.
I love it. And so maybe instead of we're talking about her family was not emotionally demonstrative and her family's poor, maybe part of the narrative here is her family's history, right? Like, and we get a lot of details on different pages. Again, Olga's question about structure. You start to see now for you guys, honestly, truthfully, if you write two paragraphs of narrative that just goes in order, right? This happened, then this happened, then this happened, and he said that, and she said this. That's totally fine. For you guys, for this first time doing it, keep the narrative clear and beginning, middle, end, right? But you see in this essay, and you see in lots of essays in this book, they tell a story with the beginning, middle, and end, but the information kind of moves around a little bit in different places in the essay, right? So again, in this example, on one page, we got some information about emotionally demonstrative part of the family history, or her grandmother speaks 4 languages and she doesn't speak any of them, right? That's part of the family history. Here we get part of this family history that the family was very poor, but they always had a lot of food. Right? So all of these are connected, like Gloria was saying, to this narrative about her family history, what her family was like, what they said, what they did, and how they talked to each other and that kind of thing. So this could be family history about food, about feelings, about money, that kind of thing. Good. And I don't think we get too much descriptive writing on this page, do we? If there's any descriptive writing, it's kind of in these pictures, right? This is a specific dish, right? Here's a specific fish. This is a specific noodle dish, right? But in this example, the pictures kind of do the description for us, if that makes sense, right?
I think it's a lot about feeling her grandma demonstrate her love about cooking.
Yes. Well, I think what Claudia is saying, how did her mother show love? Words or food?
Food. Cooking.
Eso, exactly. That's it. And that's why, again, like Gloria was saying, like Mohammed was saying, that's why we get this idea of love, food, and language all together, right? These are kind of all connected. And whether we want to call these 4 different themes or all one theme, again, I totally understand that, we're thinking about that, but they go together. Hopefully, at least you see how they go together. So let's keep going. Next page. And there's salty, bad language on this page, so just be warned, okay? I made breakfast for someone who had wronged me, and it felt bad. Feeding someone I hate is a lie. And she's cooking. I resent you. I resent this. Fuck you. You're not eating. I'm not hungry. What do we got here? Theme, narrative, description, all 3.
Narrative.
Yeah, I agree. What happens in the narrative?
That she describes when feeding someone hates is a lie.
Yes. Good. And again, you start to see how these themes are connected. Liz was saying, I just sort of to add a little bit to what Liz said, she cooked food for a person she didn't love. She says this person, she hated this person. So again, here's theme of love comes up in this narrative about her cooking something for a person she did not love. And then she says that was a lie, right? Cooking food for that person was a lie. I think I totally agree. I just want to agree with what Liz said. Clearly a narrative. This is in one little baby short page, a story. This is 100% a story. Anything else we notice?
Can we add to the theme that not only love, but cooking with love?
Okay. cooking plus love, or cooking plus emotion, any emotion, right? In this example, she connects it to a different emotion. And this story continues, so I'll keep going and then we'll talk about it. At the beginning, she says, even so, I had too much pride to undersalt it. Oh, but he knew. Ugh. I am not a demonstrative person. I do not hug proactively. I don't often inform my loved ones that they are loved, but at least I learned to cook. I hope they understand the sentiment. Now, this is kind of what Gloria was getting at here. What's going on? As she finishes this story about the salt and the egg and the person she didn't love, then we get some information about her. What's going on with how, why is this important?
Maybe it's the description.
Tell me.
Why she has this emotion.
Good. So who is she describing in that page?
Herself.
Thank you. What'd she say? Not emotionally demonstrative. And again, I think this is making sense. You guys are doing great. I just want to keep saying, remember, theme, if you're thinking, oh my God, the theme, where am I going to put it? How do I do it? The theme keeps coming back, usually with key words, ideas, or images. So this word demonstrative, she's used it 3 times, I think, already, right? So just things to be aware of: food, grandma, love, emotions, demonstrative. These are words that keep coming up. So if you see words that keep getting repeated in these stories, it's kind of like a big sign on, right? Saying, ooh, theme, theme, main idea, theme, theme, main idea. Great, let's keep going. Next page, we just get pictures of her cooking. And from the dish, I love the way you laugh. From the empty bowls, I think about you often. From the corn, I think, you add joy to my life. I'm so glad we're friends. What's going on here?
The food talk with her.
I love it. Yeah. So what's going on? So theme, narrative, description. What do you think? What would you call this?
Process of cooking. Whole process of cooking. Before cooking and after. Like.
Love it. Good. What else?
Maybe emotional process of cooking.
Good. Helena is adding emotions to this cooking, and I love, Olga said it perfectly already. The food is talking. So again, thinking about Mohammed, thinking about the themes, right? Food and language. And then literally in this picture, like Olga said, the food is talking, right? So again, you start to see this stuff kind of comes together. It's not exactly like a 5-paragraph essay, but there is a structure here, right? There is a structure here that's happening. Great, and we continue this on the next page. The food keeps talking. She's here chopping and the food says, I adore you. Are you hungry? And they say, you're quiet today. I know. I hope you get my meaning, right? So I think, I don't know, do we need to add anything? I think Olga said it perfectly already. The food is talking. So is this a narrative? Is this descriptive? Is this theme? I don't know. Really, it's kind of all 3, right? And again, it's special because we get pictures. But again, I hope it's clear to you how all 3 come together here, because they're all happening at one time, right? She could have written, oh, when I cook, I feel like I'm making food that tells a story. But we get that with the pictures, right? We get that with the pictures. Do we want to add anything? I don't think we need to add anything to this list, but anything we need to add from these pages?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think we got it. Great, let's keep going. My favorite are our large meals. We maneuver past each other, coordinating stovetop space and wooden spoons, knowing when to step back. The kitchen is our temple. Our spices are hymns, our knives holy relics. Dishwashing is a necessary ritual. and we eat together. Hey, food's ready. What do we got?
Description.
Good. Of what?
Of work in process.
Good. Anything else? I think we get a little narrative as well. Does anyone see some narrative or telling a story in this page?
Yes. It's like we eat.
Sapita, go ahead.
It says we eat together. It's
Yes.
like a narrative.
Yes, exactly. This is sort of like, yeah, exactly right. I think at the beginning, especially, we get, you know, again, for this story, kind of a few sentences. My favorite are large meals. And then she describes beginning, middle, end. We move past each other, coordinating stovetop space, wooden spoons, knowing when to step back. She's sort of telling a story you feel like you can imagine. I'm sure everybody knows, right? When you're in a busy kitchen, you know, like, okay, you go here, you stand there. Okay, you chop this, go over there. I mean, like, you know, you need to go to the kitchen table. We don't have enough room. There is this sort of story about like people coming and going and moving in and out. And then also we do get some descriptive details. I agree with Gloria. She sort of describes the kitchen as a temple. And this goes back to, like Claudia was saying at the beginning, right? Sort of this idea of her grandmother to visit the temple. And some of these ideas, again, start to come back. So let's look at the next page. We're almost done with this essay. Now, even as I learned how to speak with food, I still ate the same thing every day for lunch, a packet of ramen. I justified it as a cheap meal, but that was not true. The truth was I did not feel worthy of my own care. You think cooking makes people like you. That's cute. What's going on here? I'll again say, definitely narrative. Definitely some narrative. So what story is she telling on this page?
Maybe her things about herself.
Good. I think that we can go back to this theme when she writes about her thoughts and feelings about herself, but let's just stick with the narrative. If this page that we're looking at here tells a story, what's the story?
How she'll learn how to speak with food.
Good. Okay, Liz is saying how she learned. I like that. I do agree. I think we're at the beginning of that story, but what is she telling us? We get some like
about lunch.
They eat lunch. The same food.
Good, I love it. Good. I was going to say this is about lunch. She tells a story about eating the same lunch every day. Now, Liz and Gloria started to connect this to the themes as well, right? Like, because she's not telling that story for no reason. She's telling it because it connects to some big ideas that she already introduced in the story, right? So what does she say here? Truth was, I did not feel worthy of my own care. So if we look at these themes, what is she talking about with this narrative?
Love.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree completely. She's talking about love, and Liz is right. As the story goes on, we're going to sort of figure out how she's talking about not just how her family feels about love or shows love, but how she feels about love for herself. How does she show love to herself? That's what happens as the story continues here.
I love the fish says.
You like what the fish says?
You think cooking makes people like you.
Why do you like it, Claudia? What does it make you think, or what do you think? Why do you like it?
Because I'm a cook.
So why do you think the fish is saying this? I love what do you go deep with it, Claudia? What's going on?
Because I'm cook every day in my house too. And when I cook to my family, I want they feel happy. So when I cook, always I'm happy. So a lot of people say, how you like cook? Well, I like cook because I want the people feel happy and love that.
Love it. Love it. Perfect. I don't want to say anything. It's perfect. I'm going to keep going. So then she says, I have a complicated relationship with food. And here she is on her ramen noodles bed. If I claim food as one of my languages, I have to acknowledge that you can say many things with a language. You are so ugly. You are such a slob. You eat alone because no one likes you. More sad story stuff, but what's going on here, you guys? What's going on? Theme, narrative, description. Say theme.
Description.
Ah! I think this is more like Olga was saying. The food is talking, and the food is talking like in the theme of this story. I think this is kind of the heart of this whole story, right? Because what she says here is this. What do we notice here? This is like again, Mohammed was doing for us earlier. If I claim food as one of my languages, here now she is directly saying food, language, boom. Like they're going together. We are treating them like they are the same thing. And if food is a language, then you can say nice things in a language. You can say not nice things in a language. And here's some examples of the food saying not nice things, right? So I think this page is like really food and language together. And maybe now we could add this is my sort of paraphrase. You guys could put this however you want. But the idea, I think, is where, as she's connecting food and love, well, if food and language, we get all three of them actually together now. If food is a language, then you can say loving or you can say hateful things with that food, right? Or in this story, like, again, Olga was saying, the food can say loving things or the food can say hateful things, right? Make sense? Okay. We're almost done. I wish I could articulate better how I learned to speak love to myself, but I know some of it is this. I can find peace in ritual. If I cannot love myself with nourishment, I can love myself with labor. I can find peace in my stack of small ceramic prep bowls, gifted by dear ones and acquired from my travels. Onions make me cry and it feels good. I feel strong when I lift my 5-quart Dutch oven. Dutch oven is this special kind of pot. I'm sure you guys know or have seen. So that's what the Dutch oven is, this special sort of round top with the lid. So what do we got here? Narrative, description, theme. We still have theme, but what else we got? Thank you, Ruba. I agree. What narrative do we get on this page?
Because she's talking about herself.
Yep. And what about herself? What did she do? What narrative is she showing us? How she what?
Learn how to speak love to herself.
Boom! Yep. That's exactly it, Liz. And you see you also get more narrative and description in this as well, right? I love this point. In a stack of small ceramic prep bowls gifted by dear ones. So again, she's sort of saying, oh, my friends bought me this. They gave me this. They brought me back bowls. Or I stacked the bowls in the sink and whatever. We kind of get this feeling of what she does with the bowls or where the bowls came from. So again, descriptive and the narrative come together. And of course, this is connected to the theme because now, like Liz said, we get a story about how she learned to speak love to herself with food, right? Anybody else want to talk about this page? It's a big one. There's a lot happening on this page. I think the silence means this makes sense, which makes me happy. Let's finish. I can feed my family. I'm so happy I can feed my family. My mother made this bowl. I made this bowl. It's okay if I don't want to eat it. It's still worth making something beautiful. I have forgotten how to speak 2 languages, but I have learned this one. Hello. No, Claudio's there. So what do you think? Same thing. Do we want to add anything? We've got a beautiful
No,
list already.
narrative.
Narrative, Ruba, talk to me, Ruba.
Just narrative and telling something about her and her family.
Good. What did we learn?
About your mother.
Yep.
Languages.
Good. So what else did we learn? If we said that there's this family history, absolutely. Irina was saying about her mother. Do we want to add something to this idea about family history or her grandmother? How does the narrative end? What do we learn at the end of the story? I am going to just give a suggestion.
They don't speak the same language, but they have something in common, not only the language.
And what is it?
Matter.
And what is that
food.
thing? Thank you, Ruba. Thank you.
Food and love and I don't know.
Oh, I love it. And speak the same language. Something like this, right? So her family does not speak the same language. Maybe they don't show emotions in the same way, but they all use food to share their feelings, right? Now, again, this is not a literary analysis class, right? I'm not expecting you to do this kind of deep analysis for every paper, but you start to see when you look at the structure of any type of writing, and especially, you know, we're going to spend a lot of weeks with hyperfocus in the research paper after this. So if you don't like this kind of soft art, more artistic kind of writing, we'll be done with it soon. But my point, and I'm thinking about Olga's good question from earlier is, and Nasser's too, the structure of the writing will tell you something really important about the meaning, right? Like it's kind of like the structure is sort of telling you about the type of story, the type of idea that you're trying to say. And I think that's why, again, I'm thinking of Liz and Ruba. So the story doesn't have to be sad, but for a personal narrative like this, there does have to be something real. Do you know what I mean? So if it's happiness, if it's surprise, if it's excitement, whatever it is, right? But there does have to be something real, because the idea with a narrative is to tell a story that has a theme, that has some main idea that's meaningful, right? So in order to tell a personal narrative, it has to be meaningful in some way or in another. And maybe Gloria's right. Humans like to tell the sad story instead of the happy one. I don't know. That's for the philosophy class. But anything else that we can talk about this story? Anything else you notice or want to talk about the structure of this story?
Can we say that any narrative story must create some feelings to the reader?
I think a good one will. But I don't want you to, I think a good one will makes the reader feel something. But I will say this, for your own writing, don't try to make the reader feel something. Don't try to do that. I know I've said this a lot today already, but what I want you to try to do is clearly connect your story to your theme. If you do that, then the reader will feel something naturally. Do you know what I mean? Because the themes that I'm asking you to use, good translation is possible, translation keeps a language fresh, translation helps connect ideas and people and cultures. Those are really interesting ideas already, right? So like if you tell a story that connects to that theme, then I promise when I read it, I'll feel something. Do you know what I mean? Because that's all human. This is why this story is so beautiful. Everybody speaks a language. Everybody eats food. So we kind of get, you know what I mean? Like we get this story. We get it, you know, without the author trying to do too much or trying too hard. So yeah. What else?
Can we write a story using pictures?
If you want to do this, I mean, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, yes, you can do that for your research paper. So yeah, if you have an idea for a graphic novel like this, or if you're connecting, if you're using images to sort of tell a story like this, and if the theme and the narrative are really clear, I will be a very happy teacher. So I know, again, I've said it like 10 times today, Liz, but what I really want is the chance for you to tell your own story and connect it to a theme. When I'm grading, I really am going to be checking, does the theme clearly connect to your narrative? That's number one. So if you've got an idea for a graphic novel, Liz, go for it. I would love to read it.
All right.
Everyone's like, okay, then I only have to write like 3 sentences. That's awesome.
That's what I was thinking about, like, is that right?
Well, if you only write 3 sentences, they better be very good sentences then. Other questions, ideas about this story, about anything else? So then we've got a lot of time. We still have 45 minutes left in class. So here's my question, which is, what other questions do you have? What do you need to do to feel ready to start writing? Because I really do want to keep this timeline. I think my idea for the essay is, well, let me pull up the description sheet, because I know we talked about it only a little bit last week. So let me pull it up and go over all the instructions and blah, 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 blah. All right, so I'm going to download this one. It looks like this. I think this is the correct one. Let me just make sure. Yep. All right. So I think I read through this a little bit, but just since we have time, I'll go through it since we're all here and we've got the time. So this is the first narrative writing assignment, and here are the instructions. So I'm asking you to write a linguistic narrative essay. This essay should include all of the elements and structure of narratives as discussed and reviewed in class. Further, in addition, I'm asking you to choose one of the language ideologies we've discussed this semester as the theme for your essay. Again, the theme for your writing must be one of the ideologies below. So again, I think I said this to a few people who I've emailed. If you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Good translation is possible is a really nice theme to choose. You've all translated things. You all know whether it's good or bad. And I'm sure you have a story about good or bad translation, right? Or fidelity and literalism. Translation is an important part of human history. So this is your theme. Now I'm thinking about Ting again. If you feel like you need to choose 2 or 3, or that's fine, right? If you can't just choose one, or you have a story that connects to more than one of these, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Especially for this first draft, just go for it, right? Just go for it. And remember, what do I want to say here? A theme is not a thesis statement, but if you're like, again, if you're thinking I'm scared, I don't know what I'm going to do, then write me an introduction paragraph. And at the end of that paragraph, tell me the theme, right? Kind of practice using it like a thesis. If you're not sure about how to do this, that's fine with me. But I do want to make sure you get the theme clear at the beginning. Before you start your story, I want to know what theme you're choosing, okay? Cool. So the invention activity. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. And I should have said that this was the 8th, right? And this should be the 15th. Sorry about that, you guys. I'll update this in Canvas too. So the invention activity, it's a graded lesson to help you prepare and begin your writing for this class. Again, remember, so hopefully you did that by today. I'm going to be grading those today. And I'll tell you, this sounds like a great idea. Or, ooh, I'm a little confused. Do you know what story you want to do? So it's a chance for me to give you some feedback and help you get your idea before you start to write. Then the first draft. Remember, this is the only assignment with a due date for this class. The research paper will have one too. As a result, barring truly extraordinary circumstances, that means, you know, if you get COVID, or if someone in your family is very sick, or something really scary happens, let me know, and the due date is not a problem. But just so that I can give you your grade in time to help you, I'm asking for a due date here, and that's next Wednesday. So you're for your first draft. Then remember, after you get your first grade and my comments, feedback back and forth, You'll have 1 week from the date of the initial grade and feedback to resubmit your essay for a higher grade, right? So if you give it to me, I'm pulling up the calendar. If you give it to me on the 15th and I grade it on the 20th, then you have until the 27th, right, to revise, resubmit, and get a higher score. Does that make sense? Or if I grade it on the 11th, you have until the 18th. If I grade it, I don't even want to go too late because I have to grade it quickly. But does this make sense, the timeline?
Sure.
Speak now. If it does not, I can answer any question.
Yes.
Nasser, please.
Sorry, Professor. I think next Wednesday is October 14, not 15.
Thank you. And I need to change the day again.
Yes, I think next Wednesday will be October 14. No,
Yes. So I need to change.
15.
I need to change the days, and I need to also go to. Hold on 1 second. Let me just make sure I have these dates in Canvas correct before we talk about the rubric and the scoring. Got it. Let me fix this for you guys. So this should be 15. And same thing for the first assignment. So I'm just going to say right now, because again, like I always do in Canvas, I made a mistake with the due date. So for the invention activity, you guys, I'm not worried if it's late, but if you didn't do it yet, hello, if you didn't do it yet, do it, because then I can give you feedback, okay? So don't worry about the invention activity being late, but if you haven't done it, do it as soon as possible so that I can give you feedback on your idea. Let me change the date here. Fantastic. Thank you, Nasser.
You're welcome.
Anybody else questions about this, about the due dates? Great. Let's talk grading. So structure, 40 points for structure. So your writing effectively followed the structure of linguistic and cultural narratives discussed in class, and it included a theme, narrative writing and descriptive writing. Again, as you can, I'm like repeating myself a lot, but does your theme connect to your narrative? That is 40% of the grade, right? I'll say it 10 times today because it is so important. If you tell a story that doesn't have a theme, that's tough. That's real tough. That's real tough. Gloria's getting help, you guys. She's got tutors. She's got some tutors. Theme. Your writing has a clear theme, and it is directly connected to at least one of the language ideologies we discussed in class. So all this means is, right, did you copy and paste one of these themes? Did you choose one of these themes and write about that in your essay? Okay, that's what I'm talking about here with theme. So again, you can see how important this is. More than 50% of your grade for this assignment is narrative and theme. Do you tell a story that connects to a theme? Originality and effort. Your writing shows originality, careful thought, and obvious effort. That just means, did you work? Did you care? Did you spend more than 30 minutes on it? Remember, your teachers always know. I always know. If you spent an hour or 10 hours, it's always obvious. Editing. Your writing is free of major grammatical and mechanical errors, including capitalization, punctuation, spelling, sentence structure, and verb forms. This is not a grammar class, and we don't talk about grammar too much. So this will be something I really focus on giving you feedback for grammar in the first draft. And then if you want, you can revise and fix those grammatical errors just to make your score go up. And finally, length. Your essay is at least 1,000 words. And this is like people were saying, if your story is a little shorter and it still makes sense, okay, I'm pretty generous. If you're gonna do a graphic novel, like Liz was saying, I will just look at it and tell you if I don't know how to do a word count for graphic novels, but the length requirement is just to make sure that you are, you know, writing enough, that you're writing enough serious sort of effort and work for this type of project. So those are the instructions. That's what I'm asking you to do for this narrative assignment. Questions? Gloria, I see your hand. Nope, never mind. Anybody else? Questions, ideas, concerns, anxiety, happiness, joy? Why is everyone always so sad? What's going on?
it can be not one story.
Yeah, if you want to do more than one narrative, as long as both narratives connect to the theme, that's totally fine with me.
But they should be connected with themselves or can be not connected?
No, I think if you have multiple narratives, like I said, more important that they connect to the theme. And if you have two stories, and you can see this in lots of different examples in this book as well, right? If you tell multiple stories, something that you also see the authors do at the end here is sort of, they tell one story and they say, oh, at this time I felt this way. And then they tell another story and they go, then I felt this other way. And then they explain how the two stories go together, right? Yeah, without looking at an example, Gloria, I would just say, go for it and let me read the first draft, and then I'll tell you if it's what's working and what can be improved. Nasser, please.
Yes, sorry, my question is about 100 words. For example, I is a word and narrative is a word.
I is a word. Yeah, I is a word. And if you look down, I don't know if you guys can see this, but if you type in Microsoft Word, down here at the bottom corner here, can you see my mouse? It tells you how many words, 370 words. So in this whole document, there's 370 words. So yeah, I know what 1,000 words looks like too, Nasser. Double spaced, it looks like 2 pages, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. What else?
How many pictures you need if you draw it?
Good question. If you draw it, then you'll definitely get a lot of points for originality and effort. Okay, Gloria and Liz. I don't know. I've never had a student ask if they could do a graphic novel. I mean, if you write something that's even like half as clear as this, then I think, again, I'll be very impressed. I'll be very impressed. So again, you guys, again, I think you know me by now. With the first draft, go for it. You know, I don't want you to feel like the first draft, you know, whatever score you get on the first draft is your final score. Take a risk, right? Write about something fun or interesting, or do something interesting for your first draft. Let me see what you got, and then we can talk about it. You know, then we can talk about it. What else? Cool. So we have 30 more minutes. Do you want to go through another story? Do you want to start writing? What? I can't read I don't know the vibe in the room today. I'm not sure how everybody's feeling. Should we go through another story? Do you want to end a little early so you can start writing? What would, again, my whole question today is, how can I help you get ready to start writing? That's my whole point.
So to start our writing, we need to we need your suggestion about our activity that we did.
Okay, that's why, like I said, it'll be done probably tonight, by the latest tomorrow. So I mean, yeah. Oh, interesting. I see what you're saying.
So that depends on you.
I don't know about that. I disagree a little bit. You could still start writing, Olga.
But if my story does not connect to the team.
Yeah. Okay, fine. If you feel like when I was asking if you want to start writing, you could read another example essay in here so that you can see more examples of structure for this type of writing. Okay. Yeah, I know, and I know it's important, Olga. That's why, like I said, I'll get it done probably tonight. I mean, almost certainly tonight. I'm looking at the clock now. Other questions, ideas? What would help you? What would help you? What would help you?
No question, just we leave and you can go and grade our assignment.
Invention activity. If we end early, I can do that. Maybe I can get it graded before I go to lab at 2:45. 2:45, that might not happen, but it's not a bad idea. Okay, anybody else? If this makes sense, then that's totally fine. I'll do that. I'll go start grading. The other thing I will just add is Irina made an appointment to come see me at office hours tonight. If you want to talk about this, I'm going to be like living on, again, as I told you, I'll always just tell you what's going on. I'm going to do a lot of grading this weekend. So tonight, tomorrow, Friday, especially in the afternoon, and then Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to be here in my house a lot. So if you have questions and you want to schedule a time to talk one-on-one, please email me. Let's find a time. I love this type of writing. And I want to help you feel good and happy and comfortable when you do it. So if there's anything I can do and you want to talk to me one-on-one, let's do it. I want to do it. So that's my final invitation, to come to office hours or email me and find a time to talk. So.
Okay.
Anything else? Get out of here. We'll end a little early. I'd say, again, use this time however you want, but if you can, little reading or whatever. You're all grown, amazing adults. Do whatever the heck you want. I don't know, it's all good. Cool. Well, I'll stay here for another few minutes if people have questions. Otherwise, start writing. Have fun. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Не скажу. She wanted to draw the story.
You want to draw the story?
She won.
She can help you. You help your mom. Help her out. Are you a good? Is she a good artist?
Ты хороший, хорошо малюешь? He is better.
Oh, is he really?
Ты лучше малюешь, Зара.
You are the artist? You are the drawer? Good. You can give him some homework, Gloria. Just say, okay, draw me whatever. I'm thinking of the story. Draw me the kitchen, or draw me this food.
But not in the ceiling. Not in the doors.
Got it. What else?
That's funny.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye, Mohammed. Thank you for all your
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Olga.
Okay,
Gloria. Bye, Nasser.
bye. Thank you.
See you tonight.
Ciao. I'll see you at 7 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, Irina. Claudia, thank you for being here.
Professor,
Sí.
sorry. The invention activity is the homework, the 9 questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I did that. Okay, good.
That's what I'll start grading right now.
Also, and the book Grossman, they mentioned Nicanor Parra. You know about him?
No, I did not. I'm very, very little about him.
I saw him like 15 years ago when I was in Chile. Yeah, he lived in the ocean.
Yeah.
The beach called Las Cruces, and that was my favorite beach. I was for a day with my mom.
Yeah.
And I was buying something on the street, and he stopped for buy a newspaper. Wow. So he's a Nicanor Parra. So I said hello, and he was very nice.
Oh, that's great.
He has a old Volkswagen Beetle, very cute.
That's cool. Is he super famous? Like, and does everybody know him, or did you just know him, or what do people think about him?
He was very famous, yeah. And he passed like 2 years ago.
Okay.
When he was 100, I don't remember, 2 or 3 years old.
Well, I love the Tren Instantáneo. I think it's really interesting, and I love what she writes about him. I think you could tell she loves his work too, the way she writes about him. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's really cool, Claudia. That's amazing.
It's the first book I read somebody mentioned Nicanor Parra, because always they mention Pablo Neruda from Chile, and
yes.
What is the other one? Gabriela Mistral. I don't know if you hear about her.
Gabriela Mistral. I think only a little bit.
Yeah. He won the prize Nobel too. Mm-hmm. But it was very interesting when I saw his name.
That's awesome. I love it. That's fantastic.
That assignment is going to be very interesting because like 2 weeks ago, I had to write a fable. Fable?
Yeah, a fable.
Fable? Fable. Because in Spanish it's fabulese.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
fable.
Vowel sounds in Spanish make sense. English sounds are a little crazy. Yeah.
And it was hard for me.
Yes.
It took me like 6 hours.
I think you're right. I think that it's a good example of a fable and this type of writing, because a fable is a story with a theme, basically, right? A fable is a story. You tell a story, but there's some deeper meaning in that story. And that's exactly what this narrative is, right? You want to choose a story that is interesting and good and that you want to tell, and that clearly has some deeper meaning. So I think that's great. I think you're exactly
with that moral.
Yes, exactly. A moral in the fable, yeah.
All right, Professor. Thank you very much.
Cuídate, take good care of yourself. I hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, I feel better now. I don't know.
Hey, literature heals.
See you next week. Thank you very much.
Sounds good.
Have a
Bye.
good weekend.
You too.